Have you ever been fascinated by cut game content? Do you ever get excited when a developer highlights old footage of a game never seen before? If there's anything that's always intrigued my curiosity, it's been the 2003 Halo 2 E3 demo. If you don't already know the story, Bungie went to E3 in 2003 with a demo that ended up not being part of the actual game. It was more or less a showcase of things they wanted to have implemented in Halo 2, all wrapped up in a graphics engine that was not production viable for the hardware they were running on. Realizing this far too late, Bungie ultimately scrapped everything they had been working on for the past 2 years and started on what would later become the official version of Halo 2 we know and love today. Getting into Halo all those years ago, the demo always stood out to me in a distinct way. I can't say exactly why I'm so enthusiastic about it, but maybe it's just because I like to play it myself. The demo, as I said earlier, was heavily scripted, so it's not something you could spend hours of time on. Or could you? That was the thought that always stuck with me. What if you could do more with that demo? What if you could play it online with your friends? Make it less scripted? Update the graphics to make it more suitable in a modern gaming landscape? Bring it to PC? So many ideas and no energy to ever finish executing them. What I'll be showing you in this video is many of my own personal attempts at recreating bits and pieces of the demo over the years. Nothing has ever been completed and nothing is really what you would call playable, but I enjoyed these little sprints of creativity at the time. The earliest recollection I have of my attempts had to be back in 2015 when I reached out to Church, R93 Sniper, and Kabi with the proposition of recreating the demo. They suggested using Unreal Engine 4 at the time, and I was super excited to work on it with them. However, with no real planning and increasingly busy schedules, this fell through quickly. So we're still in 2015, September to be exact. I must have been watching the demo gameplay over and over again because I had the bright idea to take the current version of Installation 1 and turn it into a single player version with online co-op. What this really means though is I just threw in a recreation of the E3 environment and called it a day. The geometry I was using with this version was from a mod in the CE community that community members Kirby and Mucha had been working on. But from the footage you're seeing on screen, this wasn't much thought out. Plenty of Z-fighting going on with the geometry, zero baked global illumination and lighting, no reflection probes, no emissive texture settings. Yeah, it was pretty horrible. However, I did attempt to make an opening cutscene with this. You see in this version of IO1, it had a pre-match countdown that you could extend the duration of. Using this in zero knowledge of animation, I only managed to create a flying shot of the Pelican coming into the city of New Mombasa before you spawn into the map. I got bored with this version pretty quickly though, and didn't bother with it again. Moving on to 2016, and my musings had returned. Things started from scratch with this attempt at the E3 demo. At first, I was just recreating Halo 2 stuff, but then somewhere down the line, I declared to myself it was round 2 of making the E3 demo. I followed an FPS tutorial series using photon networking to get up and running. I brought over the same geometry I used for my previous attempt, and did the best I could with the knowledge I had to make it look somewhat presentable. For assets this time, I had a friend convert the Dead or Alive Spartan, the Halo Online Battle Rifle, and the Halo Online SMG to be a PBR texture set. This did give the assets a decent look, but I still felt I could have done a much better job implementing them. With this version, I even recreated the iconic frame of Master Chief wielding a plasma grenade and SMG, but it's nothing to write home about. Towards the end of this version's sprint, I had another friend come on board to redo the programming I had done and use bolt networking for a better framework, but this was never fully finished, and once again my motivation to continue working on this attempt at the E3 demo was gone. And finally, earlier this year, I started having fun again with some ideas from the demo. If you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen these videos on my progress. By this time though, I was more focused on recreating key components from the demo rather than actually rebuilding the demo itself. I feel this made working on this version much more enjoyable as I wasn't pressed to have something playable. With permission from older Installation 1 members, I used an older 2016 version of the project to be the backbone of these showcases. Some CE mods were also used for the animations in this version, and it really helped sell the recreation better. The main goal I had in mind for this E3 demo version was the first-person weapons and the feedback they gave. The SMGs here are set up just as they were in the 2003 demo, where Bungie didn't actually have dual wielding working. They just created a weapon and then used an animation set with 2 SMGs. The reticle is aesthetically close to the actual demo as well, although I added some recoil features from this variation of Installation 1 to sell it a little better. Moving on to the battle rifle, it functions the same, with it being a single shot weapon instead of the final release's 3-round burst, and has no ammo counter. The animations are also unique with it, including the 3-hit melee system that was originally intended to be in Halo 2. This mock-up I've done though doesn't have a functioning melee system, so it's just for show. I also had fun with a tool called Pro Builder and the Streets from ODST. Pro Builder is a level editing tool that I highly recommend you check out. It helped me set the UVs to properly tile when I extended the road however long I wanted. It's a small little detail, but it's something I'm very proud of. I also had a functioning Warhog to some degree. This took a long time to even get close to functional though, as I was being lazy and didn't properly create origin points for the wheels. I haven't touched this E3 demo stuff since February, and I don't really have any intention to recreate anything else with it. Perhaps taking another shot of the plasma grenade pose would be fun and all, but all in due time. If I ever wanted to give this a shot again, I would most likely pull my work from this sprint and throw it into a new project file. Recreating Halo things is always a fun challenge for me. I'm glad I've focused toning down my own expectations for these kind of inspirations and not turning them into full-blown projects anymore. I would find myself getting too let down that I failed to continue with something, but at the end of the day, you need to do what makes you happy. Not satisfied with what you're working on? Put it down and come back to it another time. If you don't have your heart in it anymore, it's not worth the added stress.